Imagine this. You open a book of poetry. One poem looks like a puzzle. Another sings like a song. One mourns. Another praises. Why are they so different? Because poetry is not just emotion, it is form shaped into art. Today, we explore the major forms of poetry, not as dry definitions, but as living, breathing expressions of human experience. Let's begin with something playful. An acrostic is like a secret code. The first letter of each line forms a word, often a name. Imagine writing, "Faith shines bright. Amidst the dark, remember hope in every heart. Gentle strength holds us together." Here, the poem itself spells a name, Fari. There's no restriction on rhyme or rhythm. It can be structured or free. What matters is the hidden message within the structure. Now we move to something ancient and musical, the ballad. A ballad is a story in song form, often about folklore, love, or tragedy.
One of the most famous examples is by Samuel Taylor Coleridge in The Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three. Notice the rhythm, it almost demands to be sung. Ballads use alternating lines of 4 and 3 beats, creating a sing-song musical effect. Think of it as the ancestor of modern songs.
Now, something paradoxical, blank verse.
It has no rhyme, but a strict rhythm. Usually, it follows iambic pentameter. It is the favorite form of great writers like William Shakespeare and John Milton. Of man's first disobedience and the fruit. No rhyme, but a powerful, steady rhythm. Blank verse is like walking confidently without needing music. The rhythm is internal. The cinquain is short, delicate, and precise. Invented by Adelaide Crapsey, it follows a strict syllable pattern. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Example, these be three silent things. The falling snow. Notice how it captures a moment like a photograph. These be three silent things. The falling snow. No excess words, just essence. Now, poetry that mourns the elegy. An elegy mourns. It laments death, loss, or even the passing of time. One of the most famous is by Thomas Gray. Elegy written in a country churchyard. Elegies move through grief, reflection, and consolation. They remind us that poetry is not just art, it is emotional healing. Now we enter the world of heroes and civilizations, the epic. An epic is a long narrative poem telling the story of a nation or hero. Think of the Iliad, Beowulf, Epic of Gilgamesh. Epics are vast in scale, rich in mythology, and focused on heroic journeys. They are the DNA of storytelling traditions. An epistle is simply a poem written as a letter. For example, Alexander Pope wrote Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. It can be formal or conversational, but always addressed to someone. Poetry becomes personal communication. Now, let's lighten the mood, the limerick. The limerick is humorous, playful, even slightly mischievous. Example by Rudyard Kipling. There was a small boy of Quebec. It follows an AABBA rhyme scheme with a bouncing rhythm. Limericks show us that poetry can laugh at itself and at life. Now, poetry of praise, the ode. An ode celebrates. It can praise a person, an object, or an idea. For example, John Keats wrote, Ode on a Grecian urn. Odes are serious, reflective, and often philosophical. They elevate ordinary things into timeless beauty. The sestina is one of the most complex poetic forms. It uses 39 lines and repeated end words in a strict pattern. The same words return again and again, but in a changing order. Mastered by poets like Elizabeth Bishop. Its beauty lies in controlled repetition, like a musical theme returning again and again. Now, perhaps the most famous form, the sonnet, the poetry of love and thought. 14 lines. Deep emotion. Two major types, the English or Shakespearean and the Italian or Petrarchan. Example, Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Sonnets often present a problem, then resolve it. They are like mini philosophical arguments in poetic form.
Finally, the hypnotic villanelle. It repeats entire lines again and again.
The most famous example is by Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Do not go gentle into that good night. Do not go gentle into that good night. Do not. The repetition creates urgency, emotion, and musical intensity.
It feels like a chant against time itself.
So, what have we learned? Poetry is not just about what is said, it is about how it is shaped.
Each form, acrostic hides meaning, ballad sings stories, elegy mourns, epic remembers, sonnet reflects, villanelle insists.
Forms are not cages, they are instruments. And the poet? A musician of language. Next time you read a poem, ask yourself, why this form? Why this structure? Because in poetry, form is meaning. If you found this lecture helpful, share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more lectures on literature and criticism and share this with others who want to learn.